really dedicated to living their purpose in the world or have that inkling. And my chapter specifically was finding authenticity as a new mom.
Mm.
Because for me, that was a really big transformational experience. And from there is where I kind of got where I am now. It sort of was the catalyst for a lot of things in my life. So I wanted to inspire those who may be feeling like it is a tough transition, that it can actually be a portal into so many things. Like, of course, the portal into motherhood is beautiful, but we can also see it as a time to really anchor back into our authenticity. And so my story is about the roller coaster ride that I went through and yeah, and where it brought me, how it moved me into the light, essentially.
Gotcha. So
Um,
I remember when we first met, I was like, we hugged each other and I was like, whoa. And then I felt something else and I was like, oh, what is that? So, like, I didn't know your story until I read the story in the book. And I was like, oh, that's what that was. So, in my own
Amazing.
experience, I suffered from postpartum with my child, and that was 17 years ago. And healthcare here in the United States, because you're in Canada, was not helpful. And
Oh,
there was like very little resources. Like they were aware of postpartum, but it wasn't a treated thing. It was more like you have mental health issues, you're out there, you lost it, and you had all that shame from feeling like I'm a terrible person, I'm a bad mom, and everybody
yeah.
expected you to be able to hit the button to stop, to reset. And so I kind of just want to know your experience in Canada because your child is much younger than mine, but what did that look like at that time?
Yeah. No, I did feel very blessed. I felt like I had a village. Like I did feel very cared for, but there was a piece of me that felt so alone. Like I think because we don't talk about it a whole lot in our social circles, or at least I didn't.
Mhm.
I felt very supported by the healthcare system, by my practitioners, and um, my mom was a huge help. But I still felt very alone. And that little piece you just said that is really big on the inside, that shame, that like, why am I not able to do what all these other moms are doing? And lo and behold, when I did start talking about it, for example, when people read the chapter, they would say, oh, you know what? I really went through a tough time too. And it's like, it wasn't something I was really open to talking about at the
Mhm.
time. And I think now, like 4 years later, I'm hoping that there is a shift in the direction of, you know, accepting that this is something that moms go through. This is something that, we can really, really make a difference in the lives of moms if we open up about these things. So, yeah, my experience was interesting in that my social circles never really knew until they read the chapter what
Wow.
I went through.
Wow.
So, yeah,
So
yeah,
was
it's
there
just
this like
interesting.
ghosting or disappearance is why they didn't know or
Yeah, I really withdrew.
okay.
I really withdrew. And enter the beginning of the pandemic as well, so my son was 7 months old, and this is sort of when I was going through everything,
Yeah.
where we were isolated even further because everything shut down. So I wasn't going on play dates anymore. I wasn't going to mom circles anymore. I wasn't
Mhm.
doing any of those things. I was just stuck. And so I just further withdrew, really. And I had some amazing support through that time, with like social workers and things like that, which was amazing. But it was that immediate village that I was very disconnected from.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I totally
Yeah.
did that too. I did that too.
Yeah.
I literally disappeared. It was like Where's she at?
Did you? Yeah.
Where's her baby? Like, what's going on? You know? And it was a weird
Yeah.
time because I felt, I don't know if you felt this too, but I felt so out of body. Like every day I could like see myself like, get up, just get up.
Yeah.
And I couldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Is a lot of emotions, a lot of like trying to a lot of trying to push through, but also at the same time, a lot of really sort of feeling like for me, it was like I'm missing all this time with my baby because I ended up getting to a point where I had to sleep in the afternoon because later we found out the cause, but at the time we didn't know. And so I was like, oh my goodness, this is the most precious time with my baby. And
Mm,
now I'm having to put it in the hands of someone else who was my mom, which was amazing,
great.
um, every single day.
Wow.
And when I look back now, that really was the spark inside of me that helped me create changes in my life to live a more aligned motherhood journey. So when I look back now, I'm like, when I look at those moments as um, those really hard times that made me decide that things were going to change in my life. I decided I wasn't going to go back to work full time. I decided I
Mhm.
wasn't going to go back to the industry I was in because I didn't want this feeling. I didn't want to feel like I was away from my child. I didn't want to feel like I wasn't living my authentic life because those hours alone in bed, I really had a lot of time to think about
Oh, yeah.
the way I wanted things to be.
Mm.
So, yes. I don't know if you had a similar experience
I did.
of
I
sort of
there
really
was
reflecting.
yeah, there was like this deep rest that I really needed. And really when I think about it now, because I still have, friends that are having babies right now that are in our, 38 right now, so kind of in our 40s, that are having kids. And I'm like, ooh, the rest. You don't get that. You are full on providing everything for this baby all times of the day. There's no break time. You don't know when break time is coming. They're sleeping or they're not, or they're just screaming, and you're like, I need a moment. When do I get my moment? And just like you, I had my mom, so I was like, whew. And I had my dad, and I had
Beautiful.
my my grandparents even for the first couple weeks, so it was a huge blessing. And then just the worry of being a mom and, standing there over them, checking their breath, making sure their chest is rising is like, it's a lot. And
Yeah.
with postpartum, it is just unreal. Like, it's just so hard, and it's so difficult to navigate people to the right place. I know now I would say, even if you don't wanna go to the doctor, you can, go to church and talk to your pastor. You can, reach out to anybody that does healing modalities or just talk back, feedback therapy, trauma therapy.
Yeah.
Like, there's more options now, even, like, something that you're working with now. So tell me about the Healy.
Yes. So, the Healy came into my life about almost no, July. So
Mhm.
6-ish months ago. And it is a result of, so from the moment I had my health back, was back fully engaged in the fullness of life, I had decided that I was going to create my own path. I decided that I was going to follow the breadcrumbs of joy, which is what one of our mentors
Yeah.
says all the time, and see where it took me in terms of how I wanted to be of service to the world. So I had always had this really strong draw to entrepreneurship. I never really felt like the 9 to 5, Monday to Friday was for me per se. So I started to explore different modalities. I started to explore different training certifications. It all started with the yoga teacher training.
Oh, okay.
Um, and I felt like I was coming back home to myself
Mm.
because I had previously, I had studied homeopathic medicine, I'd studied Reiki, holistic nutrition. And so I was very interested in energetics, holistic well being, that sort of thing. So I decided to like really embrace that entrepreneur side of me. Like this was the chance. Like I have the courage now. I have the really strong desire now that I know what I don't want in my motherhood journey. So I started to work in the with yoga nidra, meditations. This led me to mindfulness coaching. So I sort of gathered together a toolkit that I could support moms in really honoring their well-being in all areas, in the mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, those sorts of things. I started diving into essential oils and how we could use them for emotional support. And so I really just wanted to guide women into their most authentic motherhood journey. And Healy came into my life sort of as a little beacon. It's like I had seen this device um, and I'd heard about it from women that I was taking master classes with. I didn't know anybody close to me, like in person, but it was the people that were really aligned with my vision. And what really sort of drew me to this incredible device was that I saw it as a way to be intentional with frequency. And the
Mm.
more I learned about it, the more I could see the possibilities of how I could weave it into all the other things that I do. And so without hesitation, I was like, I need this in my life. Boop, got it. Now, from there, I was blown away at the support this could give me as a mom. Like my self care level skyrocketed because it's something that I can use in my day to day life. And it's something I can use while I'm playing with my son. It's something I can use, to support me in whatever it is. And it has a specific quantum sensor in it that can scan our bioenergetic field to tell us our unique needs at that time. So even if I'm unsure, maybe I'm feeling a little bit unmotivated, for an example,
Yeah.
I can tune in with this and it will share with me what frequencies would be most beneficial for me at this time. So immediately I saw the possibilities of how this could support moms, and I fell in love with the community because we all have this beautiful vision of creating an impact in the world. We all have our unique visions. However, I have not experienced anything like this where we are sort of leading a vision-led life, and also with the pillars of frequency, community, and also really exploring wealth consciousness. And this was important to me as a mom too, because I realized a lot of my beliefs around wealth I didn't want to pass on to my son.
Mhm.
So I started this really deep mindset journey, and the community kind of just came in at the most beautiful time. So now I also have, not only can I support women in integrating this beautiful technology of science and spirituality, but I also now help them create a business around their life
Right.
instead of plugging in their life around a business.
Yeah.
So I'm really passionate about having that ability to now support moms and women also in the realm of business, not only the mind, body, and spirit, um, which my previous modalities allow me to do, but now also with this extra creating a vision led business. So it's been an incredible journey incorporating frequency for me, and not having to do the lone wolf thing anymore, having a community to really expand into.
Right. That's
Yeah.
huge. Like, that's great to be able to pull those things from there because that doesn't happen, for every um, group or networking thing that you get into. It's like sometimes you do feel very alone, or you find that one person that is either in your upline or, right below you that's
Yep.
like, yes, we can do this. And you're like, oh, can we?
Yeah. Exactly. And what I feel is missing from a lot of those is that energetic piece. Like we we are very passionate about creating a business and life we love with ease and flow. So there's that feminine piece, that energetics piece, which is not really often addressed in other arenas. So um, honoring that piece and really tuning into the subtle ways that we can um, use our own unique energetics to create is, I've always been a fan of talking about manifestation and all those sorts of things, but now it's like, okay, I have a space that actually can have mentorship through that energetic piece, and then also a tool to support us through that energetic piece. So yeah, it really is a unique space that um, I feel is beautiful for those heart led souls who desire to have a great impact, and are craving community. That was another piece that motherhood showed me, was that how special and important community is for our goal achievement, for our visions, because it's important to be held, and it's important to find those like-minded individuals who make it more enjoyable, but also who hold that vision
Right.
as you move through obstacles, right? Um, yeah, when our friends and family don't understand, we can tap into a community of those like-minded individuals who are doing it and kind of reaching out their hand and saying, come with me, I'll show you, I'll guide you. So yeah, it's been a really incredible experience.
That's awesome. And that's kind of where we started together was, um,
Yes.
yeah, in a group and, just online and just in messages and, on lives, just being in the audience. And I know that it took some time because it's just new, it's different, and it takes a minute to be like, let's talk, or how do I approach this
Yes.
person? And so it's been really cool over the past couple of years to get to see all the things that you're doing, in stories. I know you see mine too, and just
Yes.
like, whoa, even like the garden things. I know that you garden and do those things as well, but I know that our climates are so different. And
Yes.
it's weird that, like, you have so much more growth there because of the cool and the air, and here we got scorched last summer, so I was like, "Ah," and you were still going strong, I was like, "No, I wanna go strong too." But it just happens like that sometimes that it doesn't work out with the seasons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally. Yes. Yes. I love the incredible creations that you make, handmade with love. I think it's just so beautiful that you're sharing that. And yeah, it's very, very inspiring. So,
Thank you.
yeah, I appreciate when you're sharing on your stories so much. I really love gardening. I really love the sort of start to finish of gardening. But for you, it must be like even more incredible because you're not only doing the growing, then you're creating, and then you actually have like this tangible, beautiful goodie
Yes.
that you can pass on or share or keep for yourself. So
Yeah, it's
yeah.
been very
So,
different because it was not ever my thing, like in my 20s, they would pass me a plant or a flower, anything, and I'd be like, "What do you want me to do with this? I ain't got time for this. I don't have time to make sure it gets its light and, its water and whatever you have to feed it. I don't, mm-mm." And so it took, well into I think I was like 35 or 36 when I started, and it was small. And then, you know, uh, those tiny seeds would outgrow everybody else. And I was like, well, that's kind of cool. I kind of like that. And even the big ones would like disappoint me. I'm like, come on, you're big already. Get it together. So there was lots of realizations of how close we are to seeds as people, and that we have the ability to grow or we can be stunted for a long time if that's what we choose. So decisions are huge in our journeys, and like your other decision was, and kind of sounded like it was how long ago your yoga? When did you start that?
about 4 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so beautiful what you just said. I have a mindset mentor who once said this really profound thing in terms of nature, exactly like you said, how similar we are, um, about how we know, like we plant a carrot seed. We know the gestation period. Like I'm sure you know when all your little friends are going to pop up.
Yeah.
But when we have an idea and a desire, it follows that same law. It's going to have a gestation period. However, we don't know it. It's a spiritual seed. So his name is Dave Conway. He's really an interesting, amazing mindset mentor. So I totally, that analogy totally resonated with me. Um, and it gives you a little bit more of that faith as you're going towards your dreams and your desires, because so many people give up before their idea even takes root,
Mhm.
right? Like so many people have this beautiful desire that's glorious and huge, and then maybe they get caught up in the how is it going to happen. It never takes root. So I love that vision of, you're providing your spiritual seed with the right environment. And this is where like community comes in and the mindset work comes in and all the energetic support. And then the universe is going to bring you, once you decide, that the support, much like the sun comes in to support a seed to grow, or the rain comes down to support, and it's going to turn into whatever seed it is, right? So um, yeah, I love that we can learn so much from nature. We can just pause and reflect on the beautiful dance it has, and see very, very, like a lot of similarities within ourselves. So,
It's
yeah.
very wild to me too. I'm just like, okay. And these thoughts always come up, like in the middle of the night while I'm in the shower and I'm like, hey, I need that during journal time, like when I have a
Yeah.
pen and a paper. I'm like, oh, I got to get out and hurry up and write this down. It'd be a
Yes.
little more convenient timing, but I guess not because that's not how it works sometimes. It just comes through
I
really
find that too.
fast.
The shower is woo. Shower is that idea incubator.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I guess we got the memo today because we both have green on, so that just happened.
It's amazing. I love
It's
it.
hilarious. So I wanted to ask you
Yeah.
a couple questions about your Healy. Can you feel it? Is there a
Yeah.
vibration to it?
So it's actually, there's a few ways. So this, I have a coil on here,
Okay.
and the coil allows it to be, you can take it portable. You can take it around. So the coil is beautiful when you're harmonizing in the emotional, spiritual plane. So right now I have the program running Coherence. which to me is all about the intention of your head and your heart being in coherence. So there are also microcurrent wristbands.
Oh,
And so those ones are beautiful for when you're harmonizing in the physical arena. Um, and they are attached through a little wire. And so sometimes you can like suddenly or subtly is the word, subtly feel a little bit of like a vibration.
okay.
Um, but it's very subtle and you don't even have to. Like you can turn it down as long as the frequencies are flowing. Um, and then there's also, so one of my favorite programs is the aura analysis, where it will scan your bioenergetic field and let you know where in your energetic bodies you may be less energized, more energized. And from there, it can pick up on what is keeping us from our desired state. And so to do that program, there's also a coach program that helps you move into your intentions. Um, and there's also the resonance as well. Those ones I can do distance. So you don't need the coil or the wristbands. So for example, if you and I were having a session,
Mhm.
we could do it over distance, much like, distance Reiki, that sort of thing, because it's working in the quantum field.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
Very cool.
yeah. And usually those programs you can run until you feel a shift. So um, usually you can run them up to like 3 times a day. Now I'm feeling a shift. My intention was, to be more at peace. I felt a shift. So now, beautiful. Now we can do a different one. So there's a lot of different ways it can work. But it's really, really fascinating technology.
That is really cool. So,
Yeah.
you have like a separate website for that, correct? Or do you have a whole bunch
Yeah.
of different links, or how does that work?
Yeah. I have a link tree in my Instagram.
Okay.
And there you can find some like really cool resources around the Healy, and then also my specific site to purchase the Healy. Yeah, so it's in my bio.
Like the cool kids say, check the link in the bio.
Right? It's in bio.
And
Yeah,
then
exactly.
how long has it been? I think it's been pretty recent that I saw you in the studio recording. So what's going on there?
Yes. Yeah, this was another piece of my back to my authenticity when I became a mom. I had found a journal in my grandma's basement from when I was 9 years old, and it was like a preloaded questions journal. And the one page said, if you could be anyone in the world, who would you be? And I had written at my 9-year-old self, I wanted to be Lee Aaron, who is, she's like the metal queen, who's an incredible female artist. And I laughed so hard, and I had this like flood of, oh my gosh, like I've always wanted to sing. I love singing. I sing around the house, blah, 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 blah. But when I read that journal, I really had this feeling of, oh my goodness, I did not even water that seed one bit. I
Mm,
took music lessons, I took piano, but I never embraced my voice. And so it was one of the decisions I made. How can I tell my son to follow his dreams if I didn't water mine? So I connected with this incredible musician that I knew. I said, "Hey, can you teach me how to find my voice?" Um, and from there, I wrote my own lyrics. He wrote the music, and we recorded a song that's now on Spotify and Apple Music and all those things. Um, it's called "Be You, Be True," and it was my little exploration of sharing my message in a different way. And I really loved it. I really loved the whole process, and decided that I'm going to keep going with it. So lately, I've been working with 2 other women. We're hoping to do some live events.
okay.
And so we've been in practicing. This musician encouraged me to pick up a ukulele. to support me in writing songs and that sort of thing. So with another woman practicing the ukulele, we're practicing our vocals. So again, we can do something live. And then my next project is to again write my own lyrics and hopefully with the help of the ukulele, the melody
Yeah. Mm,
and the back to so I'm able to release another song this year.
there you go. That's amazing. I love that. I also played the
Yes,
piano as a child. Um,
did you?
yeah, and every time I'm like, I could really spend some more time here, but it's just not right now thing.
Yeah.
So maybe in the future.
Yes.
That's where I really
Totally.
encourage people, you know, at a young age, typically you're forced into that, pretty typically. Sometimes you're not, and those really flourish really quickly, but when you're forced, it puts a lot of pressure and a lot of strain on you, and you're like, yeah.
Exactly. Yes, I felt the same with piano. It was like I loved music, but I didn't like the format of how I was learning.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I put it away. I put it away.
Totally get that. It's like
um,
even the processing of, many different instruments, they're all very different. You connect with them different. You pick up, the
totally.
tips from them different. And that's what I loved what you said earlier is like you can do all of these things, get these certifications, go through modalities, and pick what you want to use, put it in your little toolbox and carry it around. People think that even with Reiki, like Reiki was different for me because I was in like a traumatic time that I didn't really resonate as much. And then a couple of years later, I was like, oh, I just like this and this part of it, so that's all I'm going to use. And there's a lot more to it, but there's a lot of different things out there that you can try at least to
Yeah.
start building on things and yourself. I think that's the most important part is what tools can I get
Mm,
for myself, not just others, because we're in a society where self care and self love aren't heavily promoted because you're supposed to provide and support for everybody around you. And like you said, that you focus on moms, and that's motherhood. And
yes.
I know that you come from that space where you're like, you have to come with the internal to take care of that inside of you in order to do all the external things that you want to do with love instead of frustration and everything being heavy all the time. So I love that you get to share that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That means so much. And I do feel like we as a society sometimes forget that the more nourished the individual is, the more nourished the community is. Right? So when we think of like moms and ensuring that they are in overflow, in their cup is full, the ripple effect. Our moms are creators of life. They are the peacekeepers. They are the protectors. They are all these things for society. And so when we start at like ensuring the mom is cared for in herself, ensuring that she's supported in her inner knowing, she's supported in following her inner guide. The ripple effect of that is only going to make the world a more incredible place for all to exist. So, yeah, I find that um, there's a lot of moms who are overstretched because they're not encouraged to go inside and see what is in alignment for them. So I always want to ensure that moms know there's a space here where you could start to trust that inner power again. Hmm.
So for that mom that's like, I don't have time for this. I can't do this. Like, what is your first response when you come up to that person and they're just very resistant?
Hmm. Well, the one thing is to really get clear on values. I find that when a person is able to see what they value most in their life, and from there, with loving awareness,
Mm,
see, okay, how much am I bringing these values into my life? Able to have the awareness of, okay, what is not a value that is taking up a lot of my time? So, family is a really strong value to me. And I know that, and I'm honoring that, and I feel okay to honor that
mm,
because, again, we're maybe not taught that it's okay. Um, then from there, it becomes easier to make those little changes, like, take some time back from an area of life that is draining us and pour that into something that's going to create fulfillment. So it's really just like getting clear on what's important and taking the time to reflect. We don't get a lot of stillness as moms. We don't get a lot of stillness. And so we have to be intentional about doing that so that we can see what it is that is important to us. A lot of moms want more presence with their child because they
mm.
feel overwhelmed and burnt out.
Yeah.
And so they do that. So it's like, how do we live an intentional day? How do we live a day that isn't taken over by our to-do list and starting small? And from there, it will expand. It will. You will find more and more and more of your authenticity weaving its way into your life. It's not an overnight thing, but it's definitely possible. Anything is possible. Any vision in your heart is possible. So, really getting clear on what's important is the first thing. Mhm.
Yeah, that intention, like, I struggled with that for a long time.
Yes.
Everybody would be like,
Yes.
set an intention. I'm like, well, I don't know what my intention is. I don't know how I feel about the word intention. And what? Yeah, what do you mean? What are we doing here? Like, how much decompression do I need to set one? You know what I mean? Because I think even in that time that I was so frustrated with it was like there was too much going on. And even in my head, it was so full that really setting intention was too much at that time. Like there really had to be more more light for one because, um, I think that we really do get in too much darkness, even just not only from a spiritual aspect, but just always having the lights off, in the house and just moving through that and making sure we don't leave one on because it costs money and things are hard and times are hard right now. It's just like where are we shedding light on our lives? When are we opening the window, the curtain, and um, how much rest is too much rest, and how, little of sleep can I really live off of. Um, and I think that once we reevaluate those things, we're really able to sit and make that intention. And it is confusing. The words intention, manifestation, um,
Mhm.
even just even the word shift, I had a difficult time with for a long time. I was like, there was this expectation of miracles, rainbows, unicorns, glitter popping out in the middle of the day, birds coming to sing and squirrels coming to talk to me type Disney things that I was
Oh,
expecting. Like, where is the glitter? Where is the fireworks? Where is that beautifully painted day, you know? Like, that's what I want with my intention and my manifestation. And I think that movies and programs and social media make us think that that's what it's going to be, which it can be. It really can be for some people, but not all
yeah.
people. Everything's different. So, I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, I think like it's so, kind of going back to community, it's so important to um, put yourself in arenas where people are, doing the thing because we have, we have our belief systems we grew up with, we have our perceptions of how things should be, we have all these things that aren't necessarily our truth
Mm,
that inform how we move through life, right? So just as an example, say I'm a mom who is like really, I want to, just as an example, I want to homeschool my child. Well, maybe I didn't grow up in a home where that was accepted, or there's all these sort of judgments that we place on ourselves, and everything, all these external influences are informing us of what we should be doing. So I think a really beautiful thing is when we get in those situations where it's like a big life change we want to do, like homeschooling, or if it's we just want to start living a more intentional life, like you're saying, is like put ourselves in situations where people are doing the thing, because there becomes a natural progression for us to move easier into there. Like if I'm joining homeschooling groups and I'm talking to parents who are doing the homeschooling, it's now like, okay, this is not like a big, huge like thing. People are doing it.
right,
And same with being more intentional is linking arms with women who are wanting to do the same thing or who have done it. Because then it's like, you know, it doesn't have, you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
right,
And right, like you're really tapping into a momentum already.
right.
um, and so linking arms with, and that's why I love our community so much, is linking arms with people who want to do the thing so that we do it together, because we go farther together. We can go on our own,
Right.
but it might take us a little more time, might take us a little more energy, might take us a little more investment of all the things. If we can go together, oh, it's just so much more ease and flow.
For sure.
Um, yeah. So I
Oh,
don't know if that
like,
answers.
yeah,
Mhm.
no, with that, like, even, I kind of want you to share your experience, but with mine, I was just like, even when we met in San Diego, like in the room, it was a whole lot of energies, like a whole bunch. And I remember thinking, there was some that I was like, I don't know, like how I feel right now because it was so much. And then there was just like person after person after person where I had like so much in common with them. And I was like, oh, this is what it is. We have these things in common that were very heavy. And then we have these other things that we have light in. And a lot of those were like music and writing, singing, painting, gardening. I mean, just all the things. And then on the other side was like, the deeper, darker things that I had experienced since a young kid was like suicide, depression, just navigating mental health things, alcohol, which I've been sober for quite some time now. And I've had to like really reel in that, the time frame for any of those things that you have navigated that were so dark, it doesn't matter. Yes, you can celebrate each year. Yes, you can, be excited about each hour, really, that you didn't go back and dive into the deep, dark hole and just stay down there like, hello,
Yes.
because we do that. We jump back into that hole and just like, you know what, just cover me with the mud. It's fine. But we have that um, capability, really, to take the next step into not having the drink, not smoking whatever, not partaking with the people that are doing it. And so as you've made friends also, over time, and you've got to experience those vibes and those things, and you felt that deep, like, I have to disconnect. Like, how did you go about that? Like, just detaching from that person type thing?
Mhm. Um, it's a really good question. First of all, I'm so happy for you for reaching that incredible milestone.
Thank you.
Um, that's amazing. Yeah, so I'm trying to think of an example for me. Um, I think it's I think for me it's difficult depending on who the influence in your life is, right? But when I think of wanting to get myself out of a place where I wasn't happy and having the influence of a person who's not necessarily supporting me in my expansion, it's just a an overwhelming emotional time. But holding on to your vision, like
Mm,
that, always bring back to the why. Like, why am I not wanting to stay where I am? Why am I bringing myself to this next place? And when you're in that why, it becomes like easier for me to maybe somebody who's naysaying on my dreams and saying, "Oh, you'll never get there," or "Why would you do that?" When I hold that why and I don't make it about me, it's like uh, an almost natural um, almost a natural washing away of that influence. Because it has been hard, like doing things differently. I mean, different scenario, definitely than um, the things that you mentioned, but um, it's difficult to go out of the box. It is
yeah.
because um, there's a lot of systems in place that um, when you're saying no to them, it's like, okay, well, um, good luck. Like people will just kind of, and even the people closest to you that you think will be the most supportive.
Yeah.
Um, so really honoring your why, not explaining the hows, not having to explain myself like, well, no, this is my why. This is
Yeah.
why I'm doing it. It takes it out of the personal of me, like, I'm bad or good for wanting to do this. No, it's like my why is I want a more peaceful world, or my why
Mhm.
is, I want my child to have freedom. Like, it's as much as those internal important things matter, your why is like a beacon almost.
Yeah. And then
So,
speaking of your son, like, he is so precious. But is there anything that has, they say babes say the wildest things and kind of really get you? Is there anything that he has said recently or even before that that you're just like, what? And your mind just,
yes, all the time. He's like, so I really am just amazed um, that his intuition is so strong. Like, there's been times where I've been like maybe doing a visualization, or I've been thinking about something and doing the affirmations, doing the auto suggestion, and they'll be like, "Oh, so mama, we're gonna blah blah blah," like the exact thing that I've been thinking about. I never mentioned it to him, nothing.
wow.
So he's got like this strong intuition, and he is an incredible manifester because he doesn't have all those external influences, all those preset up blockages.
Yeah.
So many times, I can count so many times where he said, "Oh, I'd like that." And then 2 days, 48 hours later, it shows up in his world.
Yeah.
So he constantly amazes me with that. Like, and I have no involvement with it showing up in his world. Like, for an example, he's like, "Mom, um, I would like a bike that's red with pedals." Oh, okay, that's nice. 2 days later, his grandpa is walking him home from school. There's a bike on someone's lawn that says free, it's red, and it has two pedals. It's
Wow.
the exact size for him. So, it's not like he says it and I'm bringing it into his world.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, So I think, yeah, he teaches me so much,
Wow, that's incredible.
all the time,
Yeah,
all the time.
same with mine. I'm just like, even, mine's 17 now, that it's like, the things that I've been trying to initiate every day just to, like, feed that, positivity
Yes,
as much as
yes.
I can. When he has his own situations, like, I hear some of me come out of him, and I'm just like, "Yes, we're there.
Yes!
We're doing it. It's all good. It's all good." And even, like, with the detaching from people thing, we've been working on that for years, and he knows the vibe. He's like, I don't really feel good around this person, so I don't want to associate myself. So I'm
Wow.
like, that's amazing because you really can, say hi and distance yourself immediately. And like you said, I love that you said you don't have to explain yourself. I think that's where we make it so incredibly hard to disconnect from people, is that we feel like we have to have this deep explanation, but then there's always the one that you do have that's almost very mean, you know? And um, there was this person in my life many years ago that used to just irritate me to no end by saying this. And it was like, you don't like those things because it's a reflection within yourself. And you don't like those things about yourself. And I was like, get out of here. Like, and I thought about that pretty deeply for many years about how true that really was. Yeah. It's like, like my brain exploded, like the little emoji. It's just, and, and yeah. So, like, even, the things about some of our family members we
Interesting.
don't like, they're programmed within us too, by all the generations of people. And I just found that so wild that I was like, ugh. But it did irritate me to hear that because I was like, first, you're right. I don't want you to be right. So,
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I love that your son is already so in tune with his intuition, like, especially at 17. Like,
mm,
that's amazing. That's amazing. I'm really excited for, the next generation who is in tune and who is coming back home to themselves. And so I think that's incredible that you foster that with him. And that's like priceless. That's a gift,
yeah,
mom that you can give that will, you know, be so amazing in his life. So good job, mama.
thank you. I have enjoyed each moment for sure, every moment of that. So,
I
wrapping
love
up
it.
here, I ask you to bring a song that, like, inspired you or moved you through a difficult time. What song did you have?
That is such a cool question because, yeah, I'm just obsessed with music. So, a song that really moved me through a lot. I've always looked to music as an emotional support. And I've always been someone who feels music, like you probably do too. You just feel
Mhm.
it in your. So, one of my favorite bands is 311. And um, I adore them, and they've been there for me and there for me in their music for so many trying things since I was a teenager. Um, so this song I heard that was actually covered. A group of their fans did a cover of one of their songs that's called Tranquility. And I just thought it was a most beautiful version of an already beautiful song. And so it became to me a gentle reminder through those times where I would just want to give up or felt uncomfortable and started second guessing myself, um, that I can move through this with peace. Yes, things get hard, there's obstacles that come up. But the specific lyric in the song that I just loved, that really helped, was you can't go around it, you have to walk right through it. My father told me that so long ago, Every time you ignore it, it gets a little more. You just have to walk toward the fear to go.
Whoa.
So, yes. It was really just a beautiful reminder that, like, we can feel the fear.
Mhm.
Yes, we can move through it. And on the other side, another lyric in the song is all that you hold dear is on the other side of that fear.
Ooh,
And so, yes, it's easier to stay where we are,
yeah.
but when we are able to move through that fear, ooh, it's of course it's a bit harder, but
Mhm.
it's worth
Yeah.
it.
And I think
Yeah.
that that's a very important point because we think that once we shift, we move through all the crap and all the yuck, that it's going to be beautiful, magical, but we're still human beings and we're still trudging, whatever. We're dragging our feet through the mud, still working
Check it out.
every
Yeah.
day to get through it and then clean our shoes off to make it back inside, like, come on. It's not
Yes.
perfect.
Yeah.
I think social media makes this glowing thing of almost like that nobody has a job these days, like we're just all out here playing and stuff. And like that's not true. Um, you know, a lot of us do have jobs. Some of us are blessed to have somebody support us and provide. But then there's some that are provided for that are not supported. So I think that. Um, I think that you've shared that a lot in your messages that you post, and I do too. And I'm like, oh, I needed that today. And I've always appreciated those little things from you, even before we met in
Mhm.
person to now. I'm just like, I'm grateful for your friendship, for, sisterhood from our Awakeners group that was created by the lovely Earth Angel Jennifer Jade. And I'm just glad that, we got to connect in a way that was so different and that, you're in Canada, I'm in the United States. It's just like wild. And I have been to
Yes.
Canada as a kid, so like I need to go back now because there
Yes.
are so many of you in Canada. And so it's like, that's amazing. I gotta go back to Canada. Or I know you come to the
Yes.
United States, so either way, whatever works. But
Yes.
I wanna thank you. Thank you so
Oh,
much for being here with me.
you.
I'm gonna put all
Thank
of your links and things so people can
you.
find you, and
Thank
then just go
you.
ahead and, spout out your I guess if you wanna do whatever handle to find you at.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And the feeling is so mutual. I'm so grateful that our connection just keeps deepening. It's one thing when you look back and see how things started, but now that we've met over a year ago, a while ago, it's amazing to look and just see how it keeps deepening. So I'm so excited to continue deepening our relationship, and I so appreciate your kind words about my work and um, yeah, I just adore being part of what you're doing and watching you blossom. Thank you. And yeah, I'm found at Jenlyn Farkas. It's JenlynFarkas on Instagram. So you can find me there all the time. You can reach out through DMs. And I've also got some beautiful resources in my link in bio.
Good link in bio. Alright. Well, this episode, as stated at the beginning, was called Let Us Captivate. And thank you so much, Jen. Keep captivating the
Thank
world. And um,
you. You too, sister.
everybody have a blessed day. And if not, look for that shift and set that intention.